what the fuck happened to Tasia Fortune. I want to know why somebody lynched this young lady. Why all y'all...
That means she was high in the air. What kind of inhumane person will hang somebody in that mountain? Everywhere you go, they talking about that hanging. I don't care where you go, to the grocery store, to get something to eat, people talking about that hanging.
August 3rd, 2026. Jackson, Mississippi. Police are called to the 500 block of Road of Remembrance, where the body of 29-year-old Tasia Fortune is found hanging from a tree behind an abandoned house. She was a mother of 4 who had lived in Mississippi for over a decade. The Jackson Police Department says the circumstances are still under investigation. No suspect named, no cause of death confirmed. The common assumption in cases like this is straightforward. Another suicide, ruled within weeks, case closed. But Fortune's mother, Christy Spivey, rejects that outright. And this isn't an isolated incident. She's the 3rd person found hanging from a tree in Mississippi in under a year. In this video, we're breaking down 4 things. Who Tasia Fortune was, exactly how she was found, the pattern connecting her death to 2 others before it, and why a city councilman has now called in the federal government. You're watching Crimelens Uncovered, where the spotlight of social media casts the darkest shadows. Subscribe if you want the unfiltered truth behind the trending hashtags, because by the time a story explodes online, the tragedy has already happened. Now let's dive in. Tasia Fortune was 29 years old. She had lived in Mississippi for more than 10 years and was the mother of 4 children. Family members describe her as strong-minded and vibrant, someone active in her children's lives and known within her community. This is the baseline the rest of the case has to be measured against. A woman with roots, routine, and people who tracked her movements closely enough to notice when something changed. That last detail matters, because timelines are how these cases get solved or stall out. Her mother, Christy Spivey, last saw her on July 26th. Around that time, Fortune traveled to Kentucky for a family reunion, a normal, planned trip, not a disappearance. Spivey later told reporters her daughter wasn't behaving out of the ordinary in the days before contact stopped. No warning signs, no conflict mentioned, no indication, according to her family, that anything was wrong. That gap, last contact on July 26th, body found August 3rd, is the space investigators and this video have to account for. 8 days. What happened inside that window is still unknown. This matters because every detail from here forward gets measured against this baseline. A woman with a family, a routine, and no reported reason to disappear. When police later describe her death as unclear, that description will sit directly against the person just outlined here. Keep that 8-day gap in mind, because next, we go to where it ends. The abandoned house on Road of Remembrance. At 9:05 p.m. on August 3rd, Jackson police responded to a call about a body found behind a vacant residential property in a mostly black section of the city. The caller wasn't family, it was a neighbor. In their first public statement, police didn't give a name. They described her only as an unidentified black female. No age, no context, just a body and a location. The property itself was vacant, with no one living there to notice something wrong right away. The lot behind it was overgrown, littered with debris, easy to walk past without looking twice. Neighbors in the area have said they pass that spot regularly, which means she may have been there for some time before anyone realized. It would take 3 more days before the Hinds County Coroner's Office could confirm who she was. 3 days without a name. 3 days without a confirmed last contact, verified movements, or a timeline to work from. This case didn't begin with a name. It began with silence, a body behind an empty house, in a neighborhood people pass through every day, unnoticed until a stranger made a call. Then, on Thursday, August 6th, the Hinds County Coroner's Office confirmed her identity. 29-year-old Tasia Fortune.
Okay, Christina, thanks. The Hinds County coroner has identified the woman found hanging from a tree behind a Jackson home this week, and it's a case that's now drawing even more attention.
That's right. A city council member says federal authorities need to step in. 16 WAPT's Ross Adams explains what he's asking for and why he says the investigation needs more eyes on it.
A young woman found hanging from a tree in the backyard of a vacant house in West Jackson has been identified as Tasia Fortune. The coroner says the 29-year-old woman had been suspended from the tree 3 to 4 days before someone discovered the remains Monday night. According to City Councilman Kenneth Stokes, the Jackson Fire Department had to use a ladder truck to remove Fortune's body from the tree.
With a name now attached to the case, 2 separate accounts of what happened to her began to take shape. One from law enforcement, one from her family. Here's how those 2 accounts compare. The Jackson Police Department's public statement said only that officers were working to determine the circumstances surrounding the death. No mention of suicide. No mention of homicide. No timeline for an answer.
The Jackson Police Department saying, quote, an active death investigation is underway. They have not named any suspects and declined to comment on local reports that they questioned the father of one of Fortune's children about the death.
Compare that to what Fortune's mother, Christy Spivey, told ABC News days later. I know my daughter, and she did not do this to herself.
Tasia loved living life. Like, there's no way that she took her own life. Tasia always let us know that if something happened to her, that she was going to fight.
Her father says Fortune had her challenges, but remained devoted to her 4 children and family.
She was a good mom, She had her ups and downs, but she loved her kids and she loved her family, and she knew her family loved her.
I know somebody hurt my sister. I do.
No doubt about it.
This is where Fortune's body was found. Now, Fortune's family is demanding answers. Fortune's family says they will continue to press investigators until justice is served. The coroner says her body was sent to the state medical examiner's office.
That gap is the reason this case escalated instead of quietly closing. If police statements and family statements had matched, if everyone agreed on what happened, this becomes a short local news item and nothing more. Instead, a coroner's office confirms a name. A mother publicly rejects the leading assumption, and within days a city councilman is drafting a letter to a U.S. attorney's office. Every escalation that follows in this story traces back to this exact disagreement. Official caution versus a mother's certainty. Hold on to that contrast, because it explains everything still ahead. Mississippi has seen this exact standoff before. A family disputing an official ruling on how their loved one died, more than once, in recent years. That pattern is what turns Tasia Fortune's case from a local tragedy into a question a lot of people in Mississippi are now asking out loud. And it's why a mother's 5 words, "She did not do this," were enough to pull federal attention into a case that started as an unidentified body behind an empty house. Tasia Fortune is not the first person found hanging from a tree in Mississippi this year. She's the third. 21-year-old Trey Reed, a Delta State University student, was found the same way in Cleveland, Mississippi. His death ruled a suicide, a ruling his family publicly rejected. Before him, Corey Zacchatis, an unhoused man in his 30s, was found hanging in Vicksburg, also ruled a suicide. 3 deaths, 1 method, 1 state, inside 12 months. But what does that number actually mean? Keep watching. Here's how the pattern extends further back. Mississippi recorded 581 documented lynchings between 1882 and 1968, the highest total of any U.S. state. Between 1877 and 1950, the state ranked first in nearly every measurable category. Most lynchings, most multiple lynchings, most per capita, most female victims, and most victims taken directly from police custody. This isn't confined to the past. So why does this matter to Fortune's case specifically? Because every one of these rulings followed the same script: quiet investigation, suicide ruling, no independent review, case closed. If that script repeats a 9th time, Fortune's death disappears into a pattern nobody's been held accountable for. If it breaks, This becomes the case that finally gets answered differently. Which one is it? 5 days after Fortune's body was found, Jackson City Councilman Kenneth Stokes sent a formal letter to Mississippi U.S. Attorney Baxter Kruger's office. In it, Stokes did not use the word unclear. He called Tasia Fortune a murder victim and requested federal assistance in the investigation. This matters because local officials rarely escalate a case past city police unless they believe something is being missed or mishandled.
That means she was high in the air. What kind of inhumane person will hang somebody in that mountain? Everywhere you go, they talking about that hanging. I don't care where you go, to the grocery store, to get something to eat, people talking about that hanging.
The Jackson Police Department hasn't been talking about its investigation of the hanging other than a late Monday night social media post. JPD has been so tight-lipped, they haven't even sent out a press release.
Once upon a time, a press release will have come out quickly because of the sensitive nature of hangings in Mississippi.
Councilman Stokes is worried. That's why he sent a letter to the U.S. Attorney's Office asking for help about the incident on Road of Remembrance. In his letter, Stokes says he wants federal authorities to assist police finding Fortune's killer and why they strung her body up in a tree.
Hangings in the world of Mississippi, when you think of Emmett Till and others, it's a bad word. So surely somebody should say something.
Stokes' letter effectively put the Jackson Police Department on notice, in public, before any autopsy result was released. So, why would an elected official commit to that word, murder, before investigators would? During the investigation, Jackson police identified a man named Terrence Anderson as connected to Tasia Fortune's case. He was arrested, but not for her death. The charge was for being a felon in possession of a firearm, and a judge set his bond at $250,000. Anderson is now held at the Hinds County Detention Center.
Court records show Terrence Anderson, who's behind bars on an unrelated weapons charge, lives on the same street block where Fortune's body was found.
No one's trying blaming Ted or anything like that. You know, we just want answers.
In court, detectives revealed Anderson had already been interviewed about Fortune's death. He denied any involvement in it, but he confirmed something else, that he and Fortune had argued days before she was found. Police also said the two had been in a relationship, a claim Anderson denied. This is a common pattern in early-stage death investigations. When there isn't yet enough evidence for a direct charge, an unrelated arrest can hold a person of interest in custody while detectives keep working. Anderson's firearm charge fits that shape exactly. This detail matters because it's the first confirmed link between Fortune and someone close to her before her death. An argument admitted, not alleged. It doesn't prove what happened, but it narrows the question the rest of this investigation now has to answer. As of this recording, 3 things remain unconfirmed: the official cause of death, any named suspect, and whether an independent autopsy has been completed. The Hinds County coroner identified Fortune on August 6th, but has not released a ruling. But there's one detail investigators haven't explained yet, and it changes how this case reads. Compare this to the 2 cases before it. Trey Reed's family waited weeks for autopsy results. Corey Zacchates' case was closed within a similar window. Fortune's case has now passed that same time frame with no public update. That gap is the detail worth watching. This matters because timing is often the first signal in cases like this. How fast or how slow an answer comes. A quick ruling closes public scrutiny. A delayed one keeps it open. Which one this becomes is still undecided, and that decision is coming next. Right now, Tasia Fortune's case remains open. No autopsy results have been released, no suspect has been named, and Jackson police have issued no formal ruling. That absence of an answer is itself the story you need to watch unfold. Here's what happens next. An independent autopsy request, a federal review by the U.S. Attorney's Office, and a community waiting to see if this case gets treated differently than the 8 before it. Watch closely for which one comes first, because if history repeats, this becomes case number 9. If it doesn't, it changes everything that came before it. And that concludes today's case. But remember, this is just one of countless hidden stories waiting to be brought to light. Here at Crimelens Uncovered, we're committed to digging beneath the surface, giving a voice to those who can no longer speak, and making sure their stories are never lost to time. If today's investigation gave you new perspective, just wait. There are more cases coming that will shock, disturb, and challenge the way you see the world. So don't forget to subscribe, tap the like button, and turn on notifications, so you're always first to know when a new story drops. We release fresh investigations regularly, and trust me, you won't want to miss what's next. Before you go, share your thoughts in the comments. Which part of this case resonated with you most? Your voice helps keep these stories alive. Until next time, stay alert, stay safe, and remember, the search for justice always begins with the truth. Crimelens Uncovered, where every case finds its voice.